So, what are the six most important things that are essentially non negotiable when it comes to a dismissive avoidant attachment style becoming secure? In this video, I'm going to take you through those six major features, and we're going to highlight each one very specific to the dismissive avoidant. And you can think of this as essentially being your roadmap to becoming securely attached, or if you're the partner or loved one of a dismissive avoidant, all the major things that you need to know that they can hone in on in order to facilitate deep transformation and have thriving relationships again and become truly secure. First and foremost, the six major features this is actually according to integrated attachment theory, which is a body of work I published and trademarked a few years ago that essentially overlaps traditional attachment theory with the subconscious mind, along with core wounds, is point number one. Um, Understanding the relationship to needs as point number two. Understanding how to emotionally regulate as point number three. Learning one's boundaries, learning to communicate your needs and boundaries, and then updating coping mechanisms or unhealthy behaviors. So, we're going to go through each of these major categories in these six key areas. The first one is for dismissive avoidance when they are struggling with their core wounds. So, core wounds are essentially these ideas we acquire about ourselves when we don't know how to process a traumatic event or a painful experience. And an example of this would be if you're a dismissive avoidant and you grow up in an environment where you're neglected, and yet biologically you are wired for attunement and connection. And so you can't fathom as a young child, hey, my parents are emotionally unavailable. You can't understand that yet. And instead, what the childhood mind does is it personalizes everything. So, what we'll see happen or unfold with the dismissive avoidant is that they'll tend to develop a core wound that says, something's wrong with me, or I am defective because for some reason I can't seem to get my needs met. Right. And it's this subconscious idea that is formed. And so dismissive avoidance as a result of that it's the emotional attachment that comes out of that is shame. Like if I think something's wrong with me, I feel ashamed of myself. And that's part of the reason you'll see dismissive avoidance shut down, not want to be seen, not want to let people in, be more sensitive to criticism than they'll often let on, because it's all about this big shame wound they're carrying that I am defective or something is wrong with me. It's like I am fundamentally flawed. And you'll see the manifestation of that too, by the way, as in relationships, this idea that like, oh, I'm not capable of doing relationships. Something's different about me. And it's like, oh, I'm too flawed to be able to have a healthy relationship. I'm not wired that way. Right. So all of these ideas are pronged off of this one major core wound. Other core wounds dismissive avoidants tend to struggle with are I am unsafe, because they're constantly in this sort of survival mode when they're not getting their needs met as children. It can really cause them to feel unsafe while in the company of others. Other major core wounds you'll see a lot of the time for dismissive avoidance are I am trapped, right? The fear of being trapped or sort of stuck in something they can't get out of. I will be made to feel helpless. A lot of dismissive avoidants really don't like to have to rely on others because they're avoiding that helplessness core wound, fear of being powerless, and sort of this deep idea a lot of the time that they carry that, I am not good enough. Like they can really struggle with that idea and sort of overcompensate for that in certain ways or withdraw completely as a means to avoid feeling that way. Now, there are other core wounds dismissive avoidance can struggle with as well, but those are the major ones. And it doesn't take long to reprogram core wounds when you have specific subconscious reprogramming tools. You're not born with them. They get conditioned into you, and using the same principles, you can condition them out of your subconscious. Now, I cover that a lot in PDS in general. We cover all these major courses. And also, I have a whole program that we launched last year, and it sold out very fast. But it's actually an in-depth training program, so that you get certified at the end. And it's like the very deep version of these six core things. It's called the Integrated Attachment Theory Relationship Coach Program. It's actually certifying you to become a relationship coach, but it hones in on all these major areas. So if you want to learn more about that, you can click the link below, but we really dive into deep mastery around these specific areas and how to recognize these things in others, how to help recondition them in others, how to support that transformation journey with major tools. It's a super comprehensive program. And if you want to actually go into the field and build your own business, we cover that too, how to drive traffic, how to build funnels, how to Just anything you can imagine about that, about starting a business is in there, building a business plan, mission, vision, all that kind of stuff. But you can check it out if you're interested, and it allows you to work from home and have freedom and flexibility and see people and be of service and impact. Anyways, I'm kind of going too far off topic, but the first major part is core wounds, like really understanding these core wounds and how to reprogram them. Number two is understanding needs. Now, a lot of the dismissive avoidant needs revolve, yes, around safety, comfort, autonomy, feeling free, feeling like they have their independence. But a lot of those needs are also because they don't know how to co-regulate with others. So other important needs that dismissive avoidants have from others, whether they're aware of it or not, is they want to feel understood. They want to feel respected. They want to feel acknowledged. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel supported, and they really want to feel accepted, because it's sort of the emotional immunity to counteract that shame wound we were talking about earlier. So those are big needs. And when a dismissive avoidant learns to understand their needs and then empower those needs in relationship to self and request them from the relationships to others in a healthy way that's considerate of others' needs too, like the people they're in relationships with, and find that healthy compromise or middle ground, then they're able to really start that transformation process. So core wounds needs, emotional regulation. This has a lot to do with, certain tools, but also nervous system regulation and being able to really regulate your nervous system function. So you're out of that chronic, subtle fight or flight mode that causes you to feel as a DA more agitated, more irritable, all the time. When you get into parasympathetic mode, rest and digest mode, and your nervous system is more regulated, your emotions are more regulated. You'll feel more calm, more open. You'll have a greater ability to be present instead of feeling so restless all the time. So you'll see a lot of these different dynamics play a huge role. Number four is learning your boundaries. Now, believe it or not, dismissive avoidants seem to be great with their boundaries, but they tend to be good with large boundaries. Like they almost use these big, intense boundaries to push people away because they don't know how to communicate and assert small boundaries while in the company of others. An example of this would be, let's say you're dating a DA, and let's say that they're not feeling very great. Their emotional bandwidth is kind of shrunken. They're feeling kind of in a bad mood. Instead of saying, hey, our plans tonight, rather than going out for dinner, can we just stay in and like watch a movie? I'm not feeling like myself. Rather than being able to assert that boundary while in the company with somebody, they'll just set one big boundary by going, hey, I can't come over tonight. Sorry. And, I'm canceling our date. Sorry. And so, DAs have to learn to actually empower understanding their boundaries while in the company of others and learning to communicate openly. And this brings me to the next one, which is communication. There's very simple ways of learning. Once you understand your needs and you understand your boundaries, just communicate them. There's like a few little processes you can use to just really hack communication in a way that helps you to know how to de-escalate others when they are feeling distressed and help them downregulate, and also how to make sure that you're in a position where you can communicate that in a way that won't be taken personally while in the company of others. So you can be seen and heard and understood in a way that bypasses that personalization thing that tends to happen with a lot of people around more sensitive topics. And last but not least, we have improving our behavioral patterns or coping mechanisms. So when we tend to feel stressed, what do? We cope, right? And for a lot of DAs, it's like they cope through their creature comforts. They cope through numbing, avoiding, compartmentalizing, repressing, zoning out, tuning out. And so understanding what needs those coping mechanisms actually meet and coming up with healthier ways to get those needs met is a massive part of becoming secure. So if you're tuning out, right, you're dismissing somebody, realizing that that might represent a dysregulated emotional bandwidth. So you're like not feeling great. And you're probably in sympathetic nervous system mode. And so you dismiss people because you're in this kind of irritable fight or flight mood, and you take it out on others a little bit indirectly through that coping mechanism. So realizing the root of what that symbolizes, I'm in this very dismissing mood because I need to re-regulate. So instead, being able to say to somebody who's maybe trying to get your attention or communicate with you, hey, I'm not feeling like myself right now. I need, 10 minutes to myself just for now to re-regulate. And then I'll come back and try to be more present. And then actually carving out that space using tools that can help you intentionally re-regulate your nervous system at will, get you into parasympathetic nervous system mode or that resting mode or state that I was referring to earlier. And and then being able to come back and feel better and be present. So understanding that coping mechanisms are ways of dealing with root problems that are often not so healthy, and understanding what those root problems are and coming up with healthier ways to cope solves the problem at its core and also empowers you as a person. So these are 6 of the most important things that you need to know to become securely attached. I would say they are literally non-negotiable. And there's other seasoned things in here, like in the program I was talking about, like there's some shadow work stuff and some cool tools to like speed up the process. But these processes themselves don't take that long when you deeply understand them. Reprogramming core wounds doesn't take very long. Once you understand your needs and just practicing communication tools and understand your boundaries, you can go out into the world and use these things. And then we just have to do some refining on the behavioral coping mechanisms. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this was helpful for you if you're trying to understand like what it is that you have to focus in on and what that roadmap is. We also have all sorts of courses inside PDS you can check out for free for 7 days using the link below. We have a course on each and every single one of these topics. And again, if you want to do a deep dive into mastery and then also master how to help other people with this, how to bring this out into the world, start your own coaching practice, what that looks like, how to sort of set everything up, your systems, your funnels, so that you set yourself up for success, then that program down below might be for you. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.